Breaking news coming in this evening. Gauteng Premier David Makhura responds to Ramaphosa's slate list circulation within the ANC circles. David Makhura categorically denies being part of any such slate. Makhura won't allow his name to be used to cause confusion and division. Makhura also said public pronouncements and circulation of lists go against the spirit of both the NEC and the PDC. Makhura said we should first discuss the principles and tasks of the ANC before we decide on the suitable leadership. To discuss this further, we are joined by political analyst Sifiso Mahlangu. Good evening to you, Sifiso. Just earlier this afternoon, we were talking and you were questioning why people implicated and named in these sort of lists, why they don't come forward and speak out against it. And here we have David Makhura doing exactly that.
Good evening, and good evening to the viewers at home. It did pick my mind earlier today why people were not speaking out against the list. In fact, I questioned why those who were omitted from the list were omitted in the first place and why they were not speaking out. But I'm glad that Mr. Makhura has come out and said he will not allow for his name to be used in division. But you must also realize that some people who are on the list are very excited about being in the list and are really hoping that this list manifests itself and that in fact they might have a president called Mr. Ramaphosa and they might be in Mr. Ramaphosa's administration. I think people, political leaders today, were looking at the New Age newspapers in the same way that the grade 12 students were looking at the newspapers last week and to think, is my name on the list? Many people are excited about being on this list. We do not know who created it, but this list seems to bring out people who are in what we call the political exclusion or the out of the public terrain of politics. It seems to want to resuscitate them or resurrect their political careers. So I'm glad that Mr. Makhura has spoken out, but it's not just about him. The list has many people. And if one has spoken, they'll just omit him from the list. But it's not just about him. It has omitted many other premiers. It has omitted many people in what they consider the Zuma camp. But a lot of the people who are represented today represent members of what we used to call the Mbeki camp, and subsequently people in this new camp called the Ramaphosa camp.
And Sifiso, now that David Makhura has spoken out against lists of this nature, do you think that this will put him in a compromised position within the ANC? Or do you think he will be seen as a hero of sorts for being one of the first to speak out?
Well, my surprise is that people here are often heroic when they take someone on. You remember that the people who spoke against President Zuma were heroic. They were named to be heroes. Even the opposition called or referred to them as the darlings of democracy. Also on the list is Minister Pravin Gordhan. No surprises there. You also see Cheryl Carolus of Safe South Africa. She makes a return to the political terrain. She's also an anti-Zuma representative. You see Matthew Poza attempt back into politics. His name makes the list. He's also an anti-Zuma leader. And so a lot of the people represented are anti-Zuma camp. It will also pick your mind why people who are leaders or current leaders don't make the NEC. I mean, you cannot have an NEC and you don't even have one leader of the previous administration. Ms. Jesu Duarte, she's a notable omission. She's been particularly excluded. Ms. Balegambete has been excluded. The only person who does make the list is who they declare their deputy president, Mr. Zweli Mkhize. So the omissions are notable. But I think as pragmatism would have it, these omissions are not, professional. they are intended to deal with people who were in the Zuma camp, so to speak. You don't find any of the premiers in that list. They have been excluded. And strangely enough, also, they've also excluded Mrs. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. I mean, she's been a great minister. She's headed portfolios and she's really turned them around. The reason Home Affairs and International Relations are the way they are today is because of her staunch leadership. She's now AU chairperson. You'd think that someone with that influence would make the list. But I think her omission also guarantees that she is an opponent. I think that's where the strategy lost. So there's definitely a camp here. There's definitely an administration that wants to take over. But I think they have jumped the gun and they have acted prematurely.